Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai, and welcome to Jagadambe Reads the Holy Books of India, Ramayana120. As you may remember, Sumantra was headed for Ayodhya. He traveled fast, and it took him 3 days to reach the city. Evening had set in when he reached Ayodhya, and as he had imagined, there was no activity to be seen in the streets. The city seemed to have been sick and gone to sleep out of exhaustion. So silent were the streets, empty as they were of anyone. There was a silence which was very frightening, and Sumantra entered the city gates, and someone heard the chariot. The street was soon filled with men and women and children who rushed towards Sumantra, asking him, "Where is Rama? Have you not brought him with you?" "No," said Sumantra. "I left him on the banks of the Ganga, and I have been sent back by him." Without speaking to anyone, with a downcast face, Sumantra drove fast toward the palace of the king. He descended at the doorstep and entered the glorious mansion. The women saw him enter, and they knew that he had left Rama in the forest. Tears welled up in their eyes. Sumantra went to the chambers where the king was, and he entered it. He saw the king, approached him, and after prostrating before him, he stood silent. Dasarata looked at him, and his eyes were questioning. Sumantra recounted to him everything about Rama in detail, and he ended the recital with the scene when he had to leave them on the banks of the river Ganga. He had to stop since the king had fainted. Kaushalya and Sumitra raised up the sorrowing king and tried to make him regain consciousness. Sumantra looked at the king. 3 days had made it impossible to recognize him. Dasarata was changed. He was a picture of woe and repentance, and every sigh which escaped his lips seemed to shatter his entire frame. It was a pathetic sight to see the king grieve thus for his son. He turned his lusterless eyes on Sumantra and asked him, "Tell me once again how my son walked all the way to the forest. How did he sleep? How could he bear the hardness of the ground? Did Rama send me any message? What did Lakshman say and Sita? Talk to me about Rama, and I may find some semblance of peace, of comfort from your words." Sumantra gave Rama's message to the king and added, "The Prince Lakshman, however, was angry. He said, 'What was the fault which the king found in my brother, that he should have banished him to the Dandaka forest?' The king decided to please Kaiki Devi, and as a result we have been made to suffer. Because of this unjust behavior of the king, I refuse to think of him as my father. Rama is my father, master, brother, and the God whom I worship. Rama was dear to everyone. He's a righteous person, and by sending him to the forest, the king has alienated everyone from him. Self, how will he command respect as a king from now on?" Sita was looking dazed and stood silent. She never spoke a word, but stood looking at her husband. Rama had tears in his eyes when I bade farewell to him. And Sita, too, looked at me with her eyes filled with tears. They crossed the river Ganga in a boat which Guha placed at their disposal, and I stood on the banks of the river watching the boat until they landed on the southern bank. Before they went in the boat, the princes, who were already dressed in valkalas, asked Guha for the milk of the Nyagroda. And even as I was watching, they matted their hair into a tangled mass, and they looked like young rishis. When they landed on the other bank, Lakshman walked first, and Sita went after him. Rama walked behind her, and thus single file. They walked away, and I watched until I could see no more. I yoked the horses to the chariot and hurried to your presence, my lord. When I entered the city, Ayodhya was dismal. I was not welcomed by anyone, since I was the one who took Rama away from the city. Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you for coming. I hope you come again.